Raging psychopaths. Pure animal fury. And uncontrollable madness. These reckless maniacs brutally destroyed everyone in their path, even real legends. And now you're about to witness the best fights of the most savage psychopaths ever to step into the ring. This is Boxing Game. Here we go.
Your ass is mine.
The wildest fighter of Russia. Despite his appearance, he destroys any opponent like a mad beast. Even legends such as Arlovski and Emelianenko couldn't survive a single round with him. This crazy monster's name is Viacheslav Datsik. Raised in the harshest parts of Russia, he has alternated professional fights with armed robberies and prison terms. And in this video, we will introduce you the scariest and strongest fighter in all of Russia and show you his best fights. This is Boxing Game. Here we go. Viacheslav Datsik was born in 1980, and from a young age he was a wild child, frequently getting into fights that earned him 16 concussions. His aggressive behavior eventually landed him on the police watch list. But at the age of 18, Viacheslav got interested in sports, as he learned that it was possible to maim people for free. Datsik had no technique at all, but he had incredible physical strength, for which he was nicknamed Red Tarzan. A year later, he made his professional debut against future UFC champion Andrei Arlovski, nicknamed Pitbull. Unlike the Russian boar, Arlovski had been practicing martial arts all his life and was much more experienced and skillful.
Giving his other opponent.
The fight began, and the fighters immediately exchanged blows. However, Arlovski, raised in gyms, was much stronger than a child of the streets.
Like, here I come, go. I wonder who his crew.
The experience earned in street fights was useless, and Datsik looked more like a huge punching bag. Throughout the first round, Pitbull tormented his victim and completely dominated Tarzan.
And a big kick by Arlovski. Wow! They're slugging it out here!
But everything changed in an instant for Arlovski, because this monster gathered all his strength in a fist and sent Arlovski on a trip through the world of dreams. In his debut fight, after crushing such a strong opponent, Datsik confidently set out to conquer the peaks of MMA. But unlike other fighters, this crazy Russian robbed stores in his spare time. Soon he was declared insane and put in a psychiatric hospital. But he escaped from there and illegally arrived in Norway. In Norway, Datsik was found sane and arrested before being deported to Russia. He spent a total of 9 years behind bars and was released in 2019. Once Viacheslav was released, he immediately returned to fighting, but he no longer looked as imposing as he did in his youth. Because of his reputation, no organization wanted to accept the red-haired Tarzan. But Viacheslav still got his chance and finally fully returned to the fights. Although he looked like an angry troll after his prison sentence, he still had explosive power in his fists. He confidently knocked out any opponent, but his wild nature always made itself known. Tarzan was like a wild beast that entered the ring as if on the hunt. But soon the brother of legendary Fedor Emelianenko came to destroy this crazy fighter. Russian sports legend Aleksander Emelianenko was the undisputed favorite, as he had fights with such legends as Mirko Krokop, Fabricio Verdum, and George Barnett. The wild fighter seemed to have no chance. However, when the bell sounded, Tarzan retired the legend in just 10 seconds. Since the technically skilled fighters couldn't even last one round with Tarzan, the organization decided to give him an equally crazy opponent. This jacked giant's name is Geronimo dos Santos, and he is called the ring chef because he turns each opponent into a chop. At the press conference, cocky dos Santos tried to break his opponent's spirit by intimidating him, but he didn't expect Datsik's level of insanity to be much higher. The two wild fighters were about to find out who was the most ferocious and intimidating. These mad beasts seemed equal to each other, but in the wild life, only the strongest one survives. As the fight began, Datsik showed his opponent who was at the top of the food chain. However, dos Santos was able to get up, thinking he still had a chance to win, but Datsik quickly buried all those hopes. Dos Santos's confidence was completely gone, and he cowardly refused to continue the fight. Datsik showed dos Santos who was the real lion in the pride, and who was the cowardly pussy. Viacheslav's next opponent was great Antonio Silva. The Brazilian fighter was nicknamed Bigfoot because of the huge size. The Brazilian was a former UFC fighter, and in addition, not so long ago he defeated such legendary fighters as Fedor Emelianenko, Travis Brown, and Alistair Overeem. But all that glory was shattered as soon as the bell sounded. Datsik gave the legendary Brazilian a carnival of pain and terror. The wild Russian was so superior to his opponent that he didn't even hesitate to let his defense down. Even huge legs couldn't help Bigfoot escape from the attacks of the red-haired monster. Tarzan mauled Silva as if he'd had his last shot of vodka. Because of Datsik's powerful blows, the Brazilian was unable to even defend himself and obediently waited for his end. And Datsik ended the whole performance with the traditional predator roar. Viacheslav Datsik is the most extraordinary and furious fighter in the world. Therefore, only one fighter could be a worthy opponent for him, and his name was Tyson. But unfortunately, it was not the king of boxing, it was the king of rooster hairstyles, Tyson Dijon. Unlike the previous opponents, Dijon was much smaller than Datsik. Thanks to his speed, he was able to dictate the pace of the fight to the boar. His swift blows hit the target, but the thick armor of the red-haired Tarzan didn't feel the damage. But these blows made Datsik angry, and despite being slow, he struck Tyson with a series of lightning-fast blows. And soon he sent that rooster's body out of the ring, and his mind out of this world. Having proven that some fraud couldn't beat him, his next challenge was British knockout artist Kofi King, who clearly spent as much time in the gym as Datsik did in the kitchen. But as soon as the fight began, the red Tarzan started pounding Kofi Kingston's head harder than an espresso shot. In the end, Datsik made short work of King, turning him into a mere joke.
Viacheslavu все-таки надо иногда оставлять полотенце. Полотенце выбрасывают из угла Кофи Кинга. Viacheslav, рыжий Tarzan.
The next opponent for Red Tarzan was the former Glory champion, Brazilian Saulo Cavalari. He was supposed to be one of Datsik's toughest challenges, but in reality, the Brazilian had nothing to counter the Russian beast. Soon, Datsik performed a deadly samba for the Brazilian, showing him the true meaning of power and dominance in the ring.
Viacheslav, рыжий Tarzan.
In 2020, Datsik realized he wasn't getting enough protein, so he decided to feast on two poor souls at once. The idiots thought they could take down the Russian bull together. They thought they had him under control, pressing him to the ropes. They thought they had him trapped, but a beast in a corner is a beast ready to unleash hell. Before long, Datsik made them regret ever being born. He battered them like children, and their punches felt like nothing more than mosquito bites to the savage Russian. Soon, one of them was knocked out cold. The second guy didn't fare much better. He was left alone with Datsik, and the next 2 minutes turned into a nightmare. Next thing you know, he was launched over the ropes and handed a savage beating. Thankfully, the referee stepped in, saving him from a second death sentence of the night. Maxim Novoselov was condemned to execution for a double homicide. But a moratorium on the death penalty allowed him to regain freedom and start breaking people legally. For his brutal skills in dismantling opponents in the ring, he earned the nickname Wild Max, symbolizing his ferocity, untamed strength, and unpredictability in combat. His unhealthy obsessions, bordering on the macabre, led Maxim to the war in Ukraine, where he unleashed his cruelty without restraint, literally destroying anyone in his path. In this video, we introduce you to Russia's most unhinged and savage fighter. This is Boxing Game. Here we go. Maxim Novoselov was born in 1973 in the depths of rural Russia, where the only pastimes were drinking vodka and fighting bears. In this harsh environment, knowing how to fight wasn't a luxury, it was a survival skill. This reality led him to combat Sambo, where he trained alongside legendary Fedor Emelianenko. Later, Maxim was drafted into the army, finding himself thrust into the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict during his service. Returning from duty in the chaotic years following the Soviet Union's collapse, Novoselov faced unemployment and economic turmoil, which pushed him into the world of organized crime, a place where his combat skills proved invaluable. However, his criminal life reached a breaking point when he killed 2 people during a confrontation. For this, he was sentenced to death. Fortunately for him, a moratorium on capital punishment spared his life, reducing his sentence to 14 years in prison. Upon his release, Maxim Novoselov was willing to fight for a pack of cigarettes or a tracksuit, as he couldn't think of any better way to monetize his unique skills. Back when Maxim didn't yet resemble Shrek, he began his MMA career with a bang, effortlessly twisting his opponents' heads as if unscrewing the cap of a vodka bottle. In his fight against Dutchman Evert Fiet, Maxim showcased his full potential. He unleashed a relentless barrage of strikes, then slid behind his opponent with lightning speed and turned him into a literal Flying Dutchman. Evert, however, wasn't eager to take flight and tried to keep Maxim at bay, landing sharp low kicks to maintain distance. But Maxim skillfully mixed up his strikes, targeting different levels, and during one exchange, he found the off switch on Evert's jaw. Though dazed, Evert got back up and continued the fight. Apparently, his survival instincts had short-circuited. Maxim took full advantage, chasing the Dutchman around the ring with a flurry of strikes before locking in a guillotine choke that metaphorically tore Evert's head off. This brutal display earned him the nickname Wild Max. In 2012, Maxim Novoselov was sentenced to another 4 years in prison. Upon his release, now significantly heavier, Max returned to MMA, continuing to amaze spectators with his victories. Chasing big paychecks, he eagerly participated in every tournament offered to him. On one occasion, he fought 3 opponents in a single match, dispatching them one after another like cracking sunflower seeds. The next name on Wild Max's list was Jimmy Ambriz. In their fight, Max, determined not to waste extra calories, didn't even bother dodging incoming strikes. Jimmy eventually managed to take the giant down and rained a flurry of blows on him. Struggling to rise, Wild Max responded with an illegal headbutt that cracked Jimmy's skull, earning him a stern warning from the referee. After recovering, Jimmy once again pinned Max to the ground, refusing to let him stand. The fight turned into the fight for oxygen. And although Jimmy easily tossed Max to the ground, he tore a muscle in the process and could no longer continue the fight. Wild Max's commanding charisma and equally impressive fighting style have made him one of the most recognizable figures in Russian MMA. Well into his 40s, Wild Max continued to entertain and astonish fans, stepping into the ring against Ivan Vichich. Having transformed into a bear-like figure, Max charged forward from the start, launching Ivan into the vast expanses of space. Taking on the role of a bald tooth fairy, he began a thorough inspection of Ivan's dental lineup before finishing the fight with a devastating armbar submission.
Отсюда он уже точно не выйдет.
Еще попытка. Здесь пошел прием. Все.
His next opponent, Adnan Alic, was so massive he could have replaced Brendan Fraser in the film The Whale. In the fight, Wild Max lashed out with kicks like a whip. Chasing Adnan around the ring. Soon after dragging Adnan to the ground, Max finished him, piercing his opponent's body with harpoon-like strikes, fit for a true whaler.
Вот сейчас все плохо, действительно, бьется, но бьет по корпусу. Максим Новоселов не переходит на голову. Все, сдается, Алик. Просто от удара.
Having conquered the world of MMA, Wild Max decided to expand his horizons, triumphantly storming into the world of boxing. His first target? Denis Vildanov, the only opponent in Max's career to surpass him in sheer size. It's worth noting that Vildanov, a participant in Russia's version of Power Slap, could reliably pass any doping test, though cholesterol levels might have been another story. The organizers faced their own battle, finding trunks big enough for these colossal fighters.
139 килограммов.
Для Новоселова в качестве боксера. Он уже познал, что такое ринг.
Meanwhile, the audience speculated whether the ring would hold up under nearly half a ton of raw power, clashing in an epic showdown.
Разозлило явно.
Посмотрите, что делает Денис.
И в этом, и в следующем раунде, если это не закончится, это заруба.
Wild Max soon pierced Denis's natural body armor with a relentless series of punches.
В общем-то, туловище пробил все-таки корпус.
Rising to his feet, Denis only fueled Max's fury.
Чем ответит Vildanov? Плотно попал.
Неприятный удар был.
With strikes as heavy as kilotons, Max overwhelmed his opponent, forcing him to surrender in exhaustion.
Попыток нанести. Серия достигает.
Denis's submission not only saved himself, but also the audience, as the arena had become a vacuum. These two giants had practically drained all the oxygen in the room. The next challenge came in the form of his namesake, Maxim Shcherbakov, known by the nickname Axe. However, Wild Max, if anyone, knew how to handle an axe and spin it however he pleased. Smaller but much quicker, Shcherbakov immediately cranked the pace to its limit. Yet, with cold-blooded precision, Wild Max systematically dismantled Shcherbakov's defense, breaking him down one floor at a time. Effortlessly closing the distance, Wild Max fed Shcherbakov a steady diet of jabs before finally sending him crashing to the canvas. Another crushing victory was added to Wild Max's growing legacy. By the end of his career in 2022, Wild Max once again found himself behind bars, this time convicted of rape and sentenced to 5 years in a maximum security penal colony. However, not even halfway through his sentence, on May 8, 2024, Maxim was released under a system of penal labor and early release. Upon gaining his freedom, he voluntarily signed a contract with the Russian army. At 52 years old, he set off to legally put his deadly skills to use in war. It seems likely that the ring will never see Maxim again.
Melvin Manhoef now watching. Good left hook there.
The bloodthirsty finishes of this chain dog ain't for the faint of heart.
35 seconds.
Melvin Manhoef has become a celebrated scalp collector whose fights leave no one indifferent. He may have been smaller in size compared to his opponents, but in every bout he hunted them down, striking fear not only into his opponents but their loved ones as well. Even those who were unbreakable fell from his deadly touches. The Dutch mini Tyson was driven by a thirst for torturous punishment on his opponents, and in the euphoric rush of violence, he would sometimes disregard the rules. Get ready to dive into the story of the most aggressive fighter of the 21st century, Melvin Manhoef, aka No Mercy. This is Boxing Game. Here we go. On the last day of 2008, during K1's collaboration with Dream at the Dynamite 2008 Kickboxing and MMA Festival, fate pitted Manhoef against his toughest challenge yet, Mark Hunt. The legendary New Zealand powerhouse was known for his death blows and unbreakable chin. Hunt, in his signature style, began hunting for Manhoef's head, only to be met with a volcanic eruption of punishment from his opponent. In just 20 seconds, Manhoef mercilessly sent the world's most dangerous chubster into another dimension, adding yet another legend to his scalp collection. Back in 2006, Manhoef reached the pinnacle of both MMA and kickboxing simultaneously, instilling terror in his opponents on two fronts. After winning the Cage Rage Championship, the Dutch fighter defended his title against the intimidating tough guy, Evangelista Cyborg Santos, a man who'd survived many wars and even a high-profile marriage with Chris Cyborg. To Santos, Manhoef's aura of danger had no effect.
And it starts.
From the opening bell, the Warriors tossed their game plans aside and dove into a wild, all-out meat grinder, essentially performing a brutal plastic surgery on each other.
Here we go, folks! Cyborg needs to be careful there because Melvin will capitalize on that.
That was inside left into the body again, ducking under.
The combinations of strikes, both guys are not hitting. This is a 2 foot from one another and they're swinging.
Somebody's going down. Somebody's going down, and look like Cyborg landed.
Melvin, big right.
This is what the crowd and what he did against Anthony Ria.
Guard up with his hands that low.
Melvin got him good with that right hand. Melvin got him again with the right hand. Melvin coming forward. Cyborg.
At one point, the Brazilian Cyborg managed to seize both the initiative and Manhoef's leg with a painful hold, but Manhoef's willpower was untouchable, and he broke free from the deadly trap.
Cyborg looking for the takedown.
And he gets it. He's, if time runs out, it's going to be a tragedy. Oh, saved by the... Well, he didn't have...
Once the Cyborg had exhausted the last drops of his energy,
I've got to be honest, Rob. I think he's playing the game. Cyborg needs one good knee or one good punch.
Oh, he's got nothing left in the tanks, guys.
Oh, what an uppercut as well.
Manhoef decided the time had come. He unleashed a carnival of torture on the Brazilian, completely breaking him down. In the end, the chain dog went completely berserk, mercilessly tormenting and obliterating the Cyborg, serving the audience a golden classic of absolute violence.
This is unbelievable, both guys, nothing left. Look at wow!
The crowd is on its feet.
This is a world light heavyweight title fight, guys.
Look at haymakers aplenty.
Oh, big kick. Melvin with a big left, and a right, and a left, and a right. He sinks Cyborg. Cyborg's on his back.
Unbelievable. The rest pulled it. Unbelievable. Melvin Manhoef has pulled it out. Cyborg doesn't realize it's over.
At the turn of the millennium, young Manhoef clashed in the ring with Finnish Viking, Mika Ilman. Even back then, Manhoef stayed true to his aggressive nature as the chain dog managed to force his opponent out of his own corner.
Oh dear, now this shows something. Melvin Manhoef wearing the red glove.
As soon as the bell rang, the merciless fighter didn't waste a moment aiming for his opponent's bald head.
Even though he's not really tall for the heavyweights.
With one savage left, Manhoef publicly executed his target and sent him straight to the hospital, declaring to the world that a new threat had arrived.
Moving, about, watching. Good left hook there. Oh, what a punch. What a punch that was. One punch, knockout power, left hook by Melvin Manhoef. Now look at that.
And in the next bout, Manhoef made his opponent's mom cry and pray for her son. Melvin had a showdown in the ring with a Japanese TV star, Yoshihiro Akiyama, aka Sexyama. Akiyama was a judo master with a devastating strike. But the wild beast wasn't fazed. Treating his opponent like mere prey, Manhoef launched into a ruthless tearing up of the poor guy right after the bell. Watching his son suffer, Akiyama's mom couldn't hold back tears in the stands. Then Manhoef executed an amplitude-defying throw of monstrous power. However, the Japanese judoka, seeing his mother's tears, decided to fight on until the end. Manhoef made a fatal mistake by engaging in the element of the Japanese fighter, who seized his chance and the Dutchman's arm. In the end, Melvin unexpectedly got a taste of bitter defeat in the spectacular fight. A year later, it was time for Melvin's return to kickboxing. Standing in his way was the fierce giant from Poland, Paul Slawinski, whose fights have become eternal K1 classics.
How much is it going to help? KO coming in. He's got red daisiness right now. Andy, what do you think? Oh, there it is. And there short left hook.
With an eye-catching walkout, Manhoef already secured the bonus for best performance of the evening, but the bout turned even more dramatic.
In the semi-finals, and had an amazing 17 fights.
Slawinski decided to play to his size, swinging his arms and legs from a safe distance.
Was in a dream ring, fighting. Say, when can I fight? When is my next fight? That's all you want to know.
Doesn't put a count on him. Slawinski thought about the round kick and looked to switch it.
Yet, the Dutchman, used to fighting big guys, found a loophole in his opponent's technique and delivered an emergency ass-whooping to Slawinski.
Oh, nice left hook from Melvin. Tasted the power.
Dealing with a height advantage by explosiveness. It comes in, 1, 2, 3. Out.
Body shot from Melvin and swung upstairs looking for the headache maker. Fires the right hand again. Leaping the hook. Oh, smack bang on the kiss.
Under the pressure of the chain dog, Slawinski became the underdog, and within moments, Manhoef made his opponent lose touch with reality, cementing his title as a killing machine.
Doing the chicken dance. Here comes Melvin. Here comes the pain. The Muay Thai knee.
Melvin smells blood, and when Melvin smells blood, that's not a good thing because until the bell rings.
Still a long time to go in this round. 35 seconds. Oh, the big kibosh! The big kibosh! The big kibosh! It's all over. Melvin Manhoef has knocked out Paul Slawinski in one round.
In 2003, Melvin kicked off with a fight against his compatriot Bob Schreiber, a guy weighing 1.5 times more than him. This wild Dutch opponent, known for his explosive punches and dirty nature, earned the nickname Dirty Bob. Manhoef hated the scumbag so much he didn't even shake his hand. He was only thinking about sending Dirty Bob to MMA bottom.
And there we go.
The fight unfolded exactly as Melvin had scripted. It looked like a schoolyard beating of a fat bully.
Schreiber moving forward. Melvin Manhoef circling around the veteran. And they're down. There it is. High kick by Manhoef, who is now really showing that he... Obviously, we expected this to happen. The explosion, the fast fury of Manhoef now going full out. Problems there for Bob Schreiber. who is on the receiving end of kicks and punches. Incredible. Schreiber, now we know why. He really means business. Once again, Schreiber tries to go for the legs of Manhoef, but Manhoef much too fast. Hooks by Manhoef.
But realizing that surviving the honest way was impossible, Dirty Bob spat out his mouthguard, taking an illegal break and shifting the aggressive tempo of Melvin.
And it seems like the mouthpiece of Schreiber.
Schreiber's sneaky plan briefly worked as he used his weight to slam Manhoef, throwing punches left and right.
His only chance is here, on the floor. Full blows to the back of the head. Now Schreiber can go forward and try to... This is where Schreiber must fight. That's maybe a possibility. Throwing him to the floor, and now we Manhoef down to the floor, punching him in the face. Of course, you can see that Manhoef doesn't really...
In the end, Schreiber claimed a sensational, though far from clean, victory over Manhoef, a result that still sparks debate among fans.
And he's almost unconscious. I think there's a big problem there. It's out. It's over. The corner of Melvin Manhoef is very upset. And you see Bob Schreiber, the winner.
In the fall of 2006, Manhoef's close buddy, the legendary and equally aggressive Badr Hari, lost to Russian Ruslan Karayev with a filthy low kick to the head.
Pretty much that signed the seal for Graham, who got chopped out by Paul Slawinski in the semi-finals. A rapid-fire combination in the red corner, and the count's been put on Badr Hari. Simple gave to Karayev.
Shortly after, Manhoef and his friend got into a public brawl in the ring, prompting promoters, sensing big money, to quickly set up a scandalous showdown between Manhoef and Karayev. The Russian fighter, rightfully nicknamed Machine Gun for his ferocious fighting style. Charged at the Dutch Tyson immediately, armed with what could only be described as Russia's deadliest nuclear punches. But Manhoef didn't give a damn. He slammed one powerful blow that turned off the lights in the Russian's eyes, leaving Karayev unconscious for a long time.
Ай-яй-яй-яй-яй-яй! Что ты будешь делать? Руслан.
Despite the wild, aggressive aura of the chain dog, after the fight, Melvin even hugged his son with love, showing his softer side and respect for his fallen enemy.
Второй мой бой в K1, и мне это очень нравится.
Remy Bonyaski, the icon of aggression in kickboxing, staged his farewell fight at the end of 2017, facing off against his longtime nemesis. Dubbed the Flying Dutchman, Bonyaski earned his place among the GOATs of kickboxing with his masterpiece knockouts.
Кончится этот матч. Вот, да, я тут.
Вот это! Готов к защите. Вот это да!
In the prologue of this blockbuster bout, the more experienced Bonyaski clinched a judge's decision victory in a fierce battle.
Хорошо подхватил ногу и
И вот тут же пошел в ММА.
Мелвин это заметил, несколько подготовку к спорту. Но это сделал неуклюже.
Then, before the final chapter of the showdown, thinking it would be an easy stroll, Bonyaski shamelessly mocked the short stature of his little opponent. But once the bell rang, his opponent's height didn't stop Melvin from slicing Remy up into a neat ratatouille with his razor-sharp punches. Next, the giant charged at Manhoef like an enraged bull, but no mercy, taking on the role of a matador, outplayed his overconfident foe. After that, Bonyaski, in search of that elusive fifth corner of the ring, realized he couldn't escape the furious Melvin and tried to hide behind the ropes. But Melvin eventually caught up with the insolent fighter, making the legendary kickboxer look like a pathetic punching bag and permanently re-educating the scumbag. In the end, Manhoef bowed out in style, leaving an eternal mark on kickboxing history. No, this isn't a power slap championship. It's an ordinary Russian tournament. Crazy Russian fighters mutilate each other even at the press conference. And respect for the opponent is considered the most unnecessary thing for them. Apparently, life in the most severe places and endless vodka consumption have killed their humanity. These scoundrels were unable to fulfill themselves in professional sports, so they make a mess in the amateurs, allowing themselves to bully weak opponents. But karma will get the rascals even from underground, and in this video, we will give you a tour through the world of these mean Russian rats, and show you how all these rodents are punished in the most brutal way. This is Boxing Game. Here we go. This fighter's name is Murad Legend. He is known for his constant mean acts. It seems that Russian schools don't teach the concept of honor. Once, he faced Alek Shcherbakov at the RFC organization, and Murad did an act that earned him the title of Rat of the Year. Moreover, the rodent missed weight and exceeded the division limit by more than 20 pounds. In the fight itself, Murad, who was better suited to the name Mu, Rat, continued his filthy moves. Tired of putting up with these nasty actions, Alek realized it was time for revenge. First, he staggered the scoundrel with a right punch. The scumbag who missed weight missed a lot of accurate punches. And for dessert, he pounced on the dirty fighter, beating the crap out of him with his retaliatory fists. Alek won by unanimous decision and turned the rodent's face into a medium rare steak, thus punishing the Rat King for his despicable actions. This is Daniel Elbaev. He set the record for the most dirty blows and blood cholesterol levels. This record holder likes to sneakily attack his opponents as much as eating donuts. In addition, the fat fighter was used to fighting only those who weigh half as much as him. But that didn't stop karma from sending his executioner. Ibragimov, one of the best fighters in entire Russia and a former UFC fighter, became his executioner. Ibragimov had no problem with the weight difference because he was going to tame this fat bull like a real matador. But the fat guy was so pathetic that even when Ibragimov missed, he pretended to be seriously injured. And instead of a caloric deficit, he showed only a deficit of punches. And it wasn't long before the former UFC fighter knocked the fat rat out. Ibragimov made his opponent regret all his dirty sins and extra portions of French fries. Russian promotions are full of dirty rats and have always been overly violent. However, the fight between Islam Yakuza Vagabov and Nikita Viking Bachin didn't anticipate anything mean, since the fighters showed great respect for each other. However, all friendliness disappeared when Yakuza first sneakily hit his opponent on the back of the head, and then knocked him down and started mockingly celebrating. Rat rushed to finish Viking, and after sending him to rest, decided to mockingly deprive him of his honor for the second time. Having not allowed his opponent to recover, the cowardly Rat, without waiting for the referee's signal, threw a blow at his unsuspecting opponent. At the beginning of the second round, Viking decided to forgive his opponent for his despicable behavior, but the rascal became the embodiment of the phrase, "Once a rat is always a rat." This overflowed the Viking's cup of tolerance, and soon, the Viking gathered his strength in his fist and sent the nasty rat back to the garbage dump. The next fighter was recognized by all Russian rats as the king of cheap shots. Each of his dirty acts is like art and has its place of honor in the Rat Museum. His name is Ibrahim Islamov, and one day he wanted to take the sweet boy's glory and challenge Seymour Zayev, who looked more like a TikTok star than a fighter. The scoundrel immediately started humiliating the young rookie by shoving him meanly in front of the audience. Then at the conference, instead of Seymour, Islamov apparently saw a piece of cheese and again attacked him like a sneaky rat. The fight began, and Islamov rained down blows on his opponent like a bloodthirsty shaman. It seemed that the victory was obvious, but what happened next, Islamov saw only after the fight on the slow-motion replay. Seymour punished the scumbag for his nasty behavior and folded him up like a laptop, sending him to sleep. Experienced Islamov thought he would smear fresh blood, but the blood turned out to be smeared all over his face. And this fighter's name is Mohamed Heybati, and for his filthy acts, his name has become synonymous with the word rat. But once Conor McGregor's former opponent Diego Brandao came for the rodent's head. But the rascal didn't change his habits, and Brandao was saved only by glass from Heybati's rat attack. All this wasn't enough for the scoundrel, and right before the fight, Heybati went over the top. In the fight, Heybati continued his parade of despicable acts, fulfilling all the achievements for the title of the rattiest of all time. The UFC veteran then proceeded to execute the scumbag by speaking to him in his own language. In the end, Brandao brutally punished the rodent, subduing him once and for all. Mohamed Heybati was a truly talented scoundrel, but his level of meanness was nothing compared to his rat master. His older brother, Ali Heybati, was his master splinter. Ali Heybati could have easily become a professor of sneaky arts at rat universities of Russia. And at one of the tournaments, to demonstrate a masterclass to his students, the rodent decided to challenge Vitaly Kurilenok, provoking him with a sucker punch. Emergency karma delivery came to punish this rat, and Narek Simonian was in the role of a courier. Senior Heybati started the fight traditionally with a sneaky punch during the greeting. Further, the cowardly rodent with his paws didn't let the employee of the deratization service approach him. But as soon as the rat missed, the mustachioed punisher proceeded to destroy him. Next, Simonian took the rodent by the paw and took it on a roller coaster ride. The rat was unable to continue the fight and was punished by receiving a VIP ticket to the hospital. This fighter's name is Zelimkhan Yusupov. Committing various dirty acts, he has already entered the rat history as the meanest fighter. But besides that, he is famous for his unexpected acrobatic abilities. And after losing the fight against Sergei Bobryshev, he proved that he has a rat heart. He made it look like he wanted to congratulate, but then he delivered a sneaky blow. The fighters had a rematch, and Yusupov at the weigh-in again, in the traditional sneaky manner, decided to attack from the back. The bell rang, and Bobryshev finally got the opportunity to show what happens to those who disrespect him, while the rascal was only trying to kiss Bobryshev's feet to get a pardon. But Bobryshev didn't forgive the rat, and with a powerful blow to the body, he punished him and forever discouraged him from doing rat things. This is Timur, nicknamed Lucky. He regularly sneakily attacks opponents at the most unexpected moment like a real rat. Lucky was really lucky to remain unpunished because the Russian Department of Karma couldn't cope with him. Therefore, the Great American Justice League sent their warrior, Grayson Wilder, to punish this scoundrel. As soon as the fight began, Lucky began to turn the American Eagle into a defenseless chick. But Grayson recalled his mission and fought back to the mean Russian fighter, after which the real mincer began in the ring not for life, but for death. And in the third round, having awakened in himself Hercules' power, Grayson punished the gray rat and made it humble forever. Mike Tyson feared this fighter so much that he refused to fight him.
They may call you Kid Dynamite. You mess with me, I'll put your fuse out. Hey, our son in blood, punk. Where you at?
This fighter turned the face of the legendary Ernesto Husted into a medium rare steak. Bob Sapp is a real hurricane who went through the world of martial arts, crushing everyone who stood in his way. And in addition to the ring, he often starred on the sets of Hollywood movies. Many people know him as the most worthless fighter, but in his prime years, he tore to shreds everyone who entered the ring with him. And today, we're going to show you some of his most ferocious knockouts. Get your tea on and your cookies ready. Here we go. Bob Sapp began his ascent to the peak of kickboxing in 2002, taking the self-speaking nickname, The Beast. And in one of his first fights, he faced Mr. Perfect. The Dutch legend, Ernesto Hust, used to eat newcomers like Sapp for breakfast, and if Bob was the beast in this ring, Hust was going to act as a tamer. From the start of the fight, the fierce American pounced on his opponent like a berserker. But Hust decided to use his years-honed skills, and in a real meat grinder started in the ring. And after Ernesto decided to show the American a couple of chopping low kicks and began to treat him like a soccer ball. The former American football player got angry, and he decided to beat up the Dutchman. Angry American decided not to lower the degree, and immediately after the break continued the fight, turning Ernesto's face into Dutch cheese. A year after his victory over legendary Hust, Sapp entered the ring like a bull in a corrida, ready to take on the horns of anyone who dared to challenge him. And his next fight was another matador hoping to tame Bob. His compatriot Kimo Leopoldo was fully fired up for the fight. From the first seconds of the fight, it might have seemed like a new episode of Tom and Jerry, because Kimo started running from Bob all over the ring, but Leopoldo wasn't agile enough to dodge Sapp's lightning-fast punches. Despite this, Kimo was able to shake the unbreakable Titan. After that, he was sure to take advantage of the situation and started pounding the big guy. However, to hunt such a carcass, more energy was needed, and Kimo didn't have enough gas tank capacity for that. But he was lucky when the bell rang, and he had time to regain his strength. Kimo continued the fight, but Bob was fed up with it. And skillful Sapp, like a real chef, with a few sharp blows stunned his opponent, who fell to the floor like a piece of meat. The Iron Mike Tyson himself was watching the fight from the audience. Sapp decided to take advantage of the presence of such a legendary guest and decided to challenge him right over there. Thus, Bob put on a show both during and after the fight. Over the following year, Sapp smashed all of his opponents. He was like a formidable volcano ready to erupt. His punches came like an avalanche, and no one could resist the onslaught. Sapp became a true monster of the ring. His presence was scary, as if a wild beast had actually entered the ring. The next brazen man to challenge Bob was Akabono, an overweight samurai from the land of the rising sun. Apparently, this fight was not supposed to be for the championship belt, but for a bucket of KFC. From the very beginning, Puffy decided to smash Sapp's internal organs, but the beast withstood the onslaught of this cholesterol mutant. And then the Japanese showed why his homeland is constantly experiencing earthquakes. Bob made it clear to Akabono that he'd better go fight against the obesity. The ruthless American decided to finish this fight with a final touch. His punch was like a brushstroke to complete the picture. Each consecutive entry into the ring was like the beginning of a storm. Every spectator froze in anticipation of a beating, while the opponents realized that a storm of powerful punches and unpredictable maneuvers awaited them. The next upstart was from the land of the cold and fierce bears, Alan Karayev. From the first seconds of the fight, Alan showed Bob an arsenal of high-level punches and techniques for which Khabib Nurmagomedov would become famous in the future. But the deadly American had lit a fire in his eyes. Not a second passed as the naive Russian was already between hammer and anvil. And then Alan missed the fatal outburst of anger and instantly went to the underworld. While Bob was ass-whooping his opponent, Alan had flashbacks of his brutal Soviet upbringing. Bob was like Hulk, who had just stepped off the pages of a comic book straight into the ring. Sap's energy and passion for fighting resembled ancient gladiators fighting for glory in the arena. The next point on the kickboxing map was the lively streets of Lagos and the sunny beaches of Nigeria, where Bobby Olugun was waiting for him. Before the fight, Olugun apparently had seen the movie Catch Me If You Can and was running away from Sap in the same way. Dennis Rodman's twin brother decided to continue showing his athletic skills, but the American still caught up with him. Sap pinned his opponent to the floor and began to hammer his head into the ring like a nail. The obnoxious American resembled a Nemean lion tearing his prey to shreds, but the referee decided to stop the predator. The opponents began to realize that each of Bob's blows in the ring could be the last chord in this exciting symphony of power. But something went wrong, and at some point the glossy record of the murderous American lost its luster. There were so many rumors that Sap started selling and staging his fights, but apparently there were some people who believed in their own strength, or they didn't have the money to buy a win. And so an opponent came up against him who was to be a boost from the bottom at which Bob was. It was an aged and small fighter that the American was supposed to make a punching bag out of. But in the fight, it turned out to be the opposite. The giant fell to the floor more often than Biden. The old man had no problem humiliating the giant in front of the audience. After this fight, fans and supporters were finally convinced that Sap was nothing more than a punching bag. MMA continued to give him title fighters, perhaps in the hope that Bob would return to his former glory. But during the last years of his career, the American decided to continue to improve his financial situation. So Bob Sap went from hero to zero. He could scare legendary fighters, although he ended his career, to put it mildly, unsuccessfully. Bob may not have been one of the best in the world of martial arts, but he had a pretty good career on the screens of Hollywood. Thanks for watching our video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. In this video, you got to enjoy the battles of the most insane fighters ever to step into professional rings. Don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. This was Boxing Game. See you soon.